Hi, everyone. This week, instead of going live, I just decided to go ahead and do a recording, and then I'll upload this online in just a bit. However, this week we are going over the book A Touch of Chaos by Scarlett St. Clair. Now, this is number 7 in a series. I have read the entire series, and those books are in order, and this includes the Persephone perspective and then followed by Hades' perspective. And so it's A Touch of Darkness, A Game of Fate, A Touch of Ruin, A Game of Retribution, A Touch of Malice, A Game of Gods, and then A Touch of Chaos. Now, again, I've read all of the books in the series, and at first I was thinking about, doing each book, but that's too tedious, and it would take too long, Anyway, out of the entire series, it's like I knew nothing about Greek mythology. Going into I heard of, Zeus and Poseidon, and I've heard of all the names, but I had no idea of what it was and who they were and why they supposedly came to be. So when I first started reading this series and, the the Persephone and then Hades version back and forth. And I do have to add that if you're going to read these, don't just read A Touch of is Persephone's perspective, A Game of is Hades' perspective. So it's much better if you read The Touch of, A Game of, A Touch of, A Game of, because now you see her side and what she's thinking, and then you see his side and what he's doing and what he's thinking, and basically how easy it is to misjudge someone because you think something and then you find out what they're really doing, and it's like, oh, I had that all wrong. But the one book in the entire series which really almost ruined it for me, and I wasn't sure I was even going to pick this book up, was A Touch of Malice. And I think it was in that book, maybe the one before, and like I said, I had no idea who these people were. It's when I found out that Hades and Persephone are uncle and niece. Okay. It absolutely ruined everything for me, because I'm like, that's disgusting. Because in the series, and even in Greek mythology, Demeter, who is Persephone's mother, she is constantly being, raked over the coals because she's fighting against all of this. Well, let it be known that if I were Demeter, Hades would be dead. I don't in the series, and in Greek mythology, Demeter takes it out on the human race. She starts turning everything cold and wintry, and, so she starts killing humans because she's mad because must be her brother. It has to be her brother, because she married Zeus, which is her brother, and then she gets pregnant with Persephone, and Hades is Zeus's brother. So they all it has to be her brother too. So her brother is coming after. Oh, it's sick and twisted. Anyway, when I finally put all that together, their so-called love scenes, I'm sorry, I just can't. It's disgusting. What saved me, though, because there's a lot of that garbage in this as well, but what saved that for me in this book was Dionysus and Ariadne, and then the character Hermes. Hermes is hilarious. He's this flamboyant, just a character. He always pops in at the most, not the best of times, we'll just put it that way. Like in one of the scenes, Hades and Persephone are getting down to business, and Hermes just kind of pops in, and he has a bucket of popcorn, and he's eating and watching them. And the way Scarlett writes these books, I'm telling you, I never laughed so hard in my life. It's so funny. I mean, in another book, I'm not sure when I'm going to do this one, next week or the week after, but in the book called Bound to the Battle, Bound to the Battle God, that one had me laughing too. But this one, well, both of them. I guess I should just say that both of them had me in tears. I mean, I was laughing so hard. There's a part in here where I have to understand Dionysus is a god, and he's in love with Ariadne, and she's a human. She's a detective on a police force. Well, one of the other demigods kidnaps her sister, and so this whole thing ends up impregnating the sister. Long story plot in there, which you figure out in the book. But he goes in. Now, Ariadne doesn't know that Dionysus has gone to rescue her sister. Well, Dionysus thinks he's just going to go kidnap or quote unquote rescue a woman. Well, on the way there, he finds out that she's in labor and giving birth in a hospital. And Dionysus, he can actually change forms. He can shapeshift, if you will, not just put on what they call their glamour and look like something. He actually will take on another person's form. So he takes on the form of the doctor who's supposed to be delivering what was her name? Phaedra's baby. And anyway, just the shenanigans that go on back and forth. And Dionysus even has two of his maenads, but one who's being a nurse in there with him, and it's just hilarious. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's so funny. And then there's another part where there's another one, the next one. After the baby's born and he goes through all of this, let's just say he doesn't know what he's doing and he has no idea what's happening, and he's supposed to be this OB doctor. And then after the baby's born and he's supposed to be giving the APGAR score, and the one real person in the room is like, "Doctor, we need an APGAR score." And he's like, "I don't know." He's thinking to himself, "I don't even know what that is." And so his maid is trying to mouth to him, what to do. And then one of the times she's like mouthing a number and he goes, "I can't read lips." So this is all of him doing internal dialogue. And so he goes, "So I just say 90 for the APGAR score." And she goes, "9? You mean 9? He goes, yeah, that's it, 9. And then the afterbirth is born, and then he's in his description of, he's like, "What is that?" in Dionysus's way. But anyway, I really feel Dionysus and Hermes saved the series and saved this book for me. Let's see, what else? There was another part in here. And, okay, hold on. When Dionysus is set out on another trip, he and Hermes get together, so he's trying to borrow Hermes's boots because they can fly, because he's supposed to get across the water. Again, there's a lot of stuff that explains why he can't just teleport. And then the shenanigans he has to go through trying to learn how to use these shoes with wings, and he never figures it out. And yeah, so he ends up getting drug across the ocean upside down with the shoes on. It's so funny. And then another part that just got me, and this is toward the end of the book, and Artemis is there, and she's talking about Perseus and how he came about and how they're claiming, and Artemis is like, "Well, he's mine, we got him." And then Hermes is like, "Damn, you picked the hot one." And then Persephone and Hecate both look at the god. Now I'm reading from the book. "What?" he asks. "I'm just being honest." And, "That's your half-brother, isn't it?" Persephone asks. "Your point?" "I don't know. I think it's kind of weird that you think your brother is hot." "Half," said Hermes. "And why is it weird?" And I'm like thinking, okay, Your mother and father are brother and sister, and your husband is your uncle, and you want to talk to Hermes about saying another god is hot? Okay, so that was one of the points I'm like, okay, that just doesn't really make a lot of sense. But like I said, if it wasn't for the subplots within this book, I wouldn't have been happy with it. Again, it's just because for me, Greek mythology is just weird. I don't understand why Greeks couldn't create gods of different families, or just gods that didn't have to be related to anybody at all. Why do they have to make them brothers and sisters, and then uncles and aunts and nieces and nephews, and they're all keeping it within the family? Gross. It's just gross. But so I mean, all in all, for this book, I really would, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, just because I think it's well written. I think the plot is very good. The storylines are really good. Outside of the intimacy scenes between uncle and niece, husband and wife now, it's, you know, it's actually very well written, and there are lots of parts, I'm telling you, like Hermes' character, I don't know anybody who wouldn't love Hermes. And Dionysus and Ariadne, the only thing I didn't like, or I should say I was disappointed in, and it's a subplot. Dionysus really is a subplot. He's not the main characters at all. However, it's like he and Ariadne, their scene just stops. It's like that happens, and then you don't hear about him anymore. And I was like, wait a second. It really left you hanging, because she doesn't have any intention, from what she says now, of continuing this series at all or writing more about it. So I really felt like that left you hanging, and you know, I don't like that. I really think she could have tied that aspect up really well, or write a whole new book about the two of them, because I mean, this woman has a great imagination. She does some really good storytelling. The other thing I want to note is the book just ends at the end. There's nothing extra. The audiobook, though, which I have listened to, at the end has a bonus epilogue where it really ties up a lot of the other loose ends that were not in here very nicely. So I'm not going to go out and buy the audiobook. I already have the book. That's fine. So I just went to the library and then got the audiobook and then listened to the epilogue at the end, which was, you know, really nice. And again, it's kind of cute. It would be endearing and, aw, they fell in love type of thing, you know, that type of oogly googly, oh, you're so glad that everything's great and works out for them. Again, if it wasn't for the fact that it's uncle and niece, I can't get past that. I just can't. So there were a lot of other books about Hades and Persephone that were recommended to me when people found out I was reading this series. I'm not going to go there. I don't care how good the books are. I'm sorry. I just can't get into Greek incest. It's not my thing. But again, if you're reading this series, or if you just need a good book, even this one as a standalone, I could see it as a standalone. I wouldn't have had to know, well, maybe one book before that, like, you know, I don't know. If I just picked this book up, I don't, you know, it would have been fine. I think I would have gotten the gist of almost everything she was talking about in the 6 previous books. But I do not recommend, all of the books are very well written. I first started out with A Touch of Darkness, and that's what hooked me, because I was like, oh, this is really a unique, because I didn't know, you know, love story. And I'm like, oh, that's really kind of cool. And at the time I thought she was human, and then he was a god. And, you know, you find out that Persephone, everybody knows Persephone is not human. But when it got to A Touch of Malice, it was it was so disturbing. I'm just like, I kid you not, every other story was Hades and Persephone doing the horizontal hoochie. That's all it was. And it went on and on and on. And I mean, probably in the book, at that one, thank goodness I didn't buy that book. That one, I just listened to the audiobook. And you're just like going, it's been 5 minutes now and we're on how many times? And it's like every 5 or 10 minutes, it was the same thing. And it was too much. It was disgusting. There was nothing to the story other than those two doing the deed. And I'm like, So I do not recommend that one at all. You could actually read the entire series and leave out A Touch of Malice and what was it? Let me see really quick what it is. I know I have it here. Oh, A Game of Gods. Sorry about that. I keep forgetting. Stephanie, oh my God. Persephone is A Touch of, Hades is A Game of. So if you leave out A Touch of Malice and A Game of Gods, because again, that's just both of their perspectives of the same exact situation. The only good thing about A Game of Gods is that it didn't have as much, it covered a lot of the same scenes that was in A Touch of Malice, but Hades had so much more going on with his character. He was actually in between things. He was doing stuff, going here, going there, getting that done, fighting this type of thing. So his actually had some plot to it, but A Touch of Malice was, I swear it was just reading hardcore porn, listening to it the whole time. And it's like, that's not what I'm here for. And maybe that's what some people are there for. Maybe they like knowing that these Greek relatives are doing the horizontal hoochie with themselves for an entire book. And if that's what floats your boat, go for it. But I would not recommend either of those two. But the rest of the books in the series were actually really good. And again, I do recommend this one, A Touch of Chaos. 5 out of 5 stars, minus the fact that, again, the Greek family traditions I would leave out. But definitely, I really hope she continues and at least will write a book about Dionysus and Ariadne, because it was just how, those two were, Dionysus was very, he's a god, but he's kind of insecure and he's not quite sure, and he really likes this human, but she's a hard-nosed detective. She's had to deal with a lot of stuff in her life, and so their constant miscommunication back and forth until finally they just have it out, and then they start to begin to understand each other. And when they start to begin to, but they haven't worked through all the kinks, is when their story ends in here. And I'm like, wait, I want more of that. Tell me what's going to happen. But so hopefully she'll continue that series. But anyway, pick it up, 5 out of 5. There's so much I wish I could tell you, and I would love to tell you about this book. However, it just came out. I think it came out in March or early April, earlier this month. Maybe it was March. I can't remember. I've already read it. I've read the book once and heard the audio book twice. And that's in between all the other books I've been reading. So it's a good book. Hope you guys like that. Hope you enjoy it. Go pick it up at your local bookstore. And next week, I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing Bound to the Battle God next week, or if next week we will have Stephen Sanzerion, but it will be very soon. He has agreed to come on, and we'll do a live, and we will discuss his book. Hold on. I do have it. Ultimate Prey. So that will be coming up very, very soon, hopefully. So anyway, hope you guys have a great day, and we will talk to you later.